Live in Western Oregon, this is NBC 16 News at 6:30.
First at 6:30, a win for Eugene Starbucks employees as last Friday, a judge ruled that 3 locations around town had committed unfair labor practices. Good evening and thank you for joining us for NBC 16 News at 6:30. I'm Zach Bruhl. The initial filing to the National Labor Relations Board came in April of 2022, with baristas from the Franklin, Willamette, and West 7th locations claiming that management had unfairly targeted baristas wearing pro-union attire. According to court documents, management retaliated by threatening employee benefits and unfairly enforcing dress codes in order to limit union activities. Following a hearing earlier this year, the judge overseeing the case submitted their ruling last Friday. In her ruling, she said, quote, "Having found that management has engaged in certain unfair labor practices, I shall order it to cease and desist therefrom, and to take certain affirmative action designed to effectuate the policies of the Act. All 3 locations will have to remove written record of discipline for the baristas who filed the claim, refrain from targeted enforcement of the dress code, and hang a notice to employees stating that they violated the National Labor Relations Act." One of the witnesses in the case says that while this is a good step for Starbucks workers, there's still more to be done.
It's not the biggest one. It's not going to solve all of our problems, but hopefully it will lead to some positive change in Eugene and take a little bit of the strain off of folks and ultimately allow us to wear our union shirts loudly and proudly.
Now, Starbucks released a statement in response to the ruling earlier today stating, "We disagree with several of the administrative law judge's recommendations in this matter and are exploring options for further legal review." The record demonstrates that actions taken were in alignment with long-established company policies and were not in retaliation for any partner's participation in or support of union activities.
We've done what we can. There's nothing more the county can do other than we're waiting for other people to step forward and help us close that gap. I don't have a great deal of optimism that the people are going to step forward.
Some tense moments at the Lane County Board of Commissioners meeting today as Board Chair Pat Farr argues against giving more time to consider building a multi-use baseball stadium at the Lane Event Center. It's a story we've been covering for years now. The Eugene Emeralds need a new home, and they've honed in on the Lane Event Center as the place to build a stadium. But an ever-increasing price tag leaves a funding gap that has kept the Board of County Commissioners from committing to building the stadium. Today was supposed to be a simple vote to push off the decision for 6 months while the Emeralds attempt to close that funding gap, paying particular attention to the city of Eugene, which has been asked to contribute $15 million to the project. Now, 4 of the county commissioners were on board with that 6-month pause, but Commissioner Farr said it was time to provide certainty to the interested parties. The commissioners did end up voting 4-1, with Farr being the one nay vote to pause the project for up to 6 months, hoping for more funding to come in. Emeralds owner D.G. Elmore of the Elmore Sports Group was at today's board meeting and said it's crunch time to get more funding for this project.
Everybody would like certainty. I think that it's a little quick. We haven't allowed everybody to get their ducks lined up, and I think we're really hoping that the city can find a way. I know they have a lot of challenges from a budget standpoint, and so that I don't miss that issue, but I think that all of us are trying to figure out a way to have this move forward.
Now, the timing of this 6-month pause is a little strange, as the Emeralds have said Major League Baseball needs an answer to the future of the Emeralds in Eugene by the end of September. Obviously, 6 months would go well past that deadline. Now, the City Council of Eugene returns from an August recess after Labor Day weekend. Now, more news from Harris Hall and the Lane County Commissioners today, this time surrounding accessory dwelling units. The Lane County Commissioners voted unanimously to approve the construction and use of accessory dwelling units in rural residential zones within the county. First, some background. An accessory dwelling unit, or ADU, is commonly known as an in-law unit. They are small, livable structures that are built on properties with pre-existing family homes. And as of today, they will be allowed in certain areas of Lane County. Now, this sort of change stems from a state-level change, allowing counties to determine the legality of these units for themselves, helping to diversify housing options in areas that desperately need more units. Now, the units do have restrictions. For one, they cannot be used as Airbnbs or any type of vacation housing, but those restrictions came from the state-level law and was not a decision made by the local county representatives.
Just to be clear, as we're going forward, we're not adding anything on top of state law. We're staying with the minimum so that we can get folks the housing in all the ways possible that we can.
That's correct.
Good, that's my main objective, and thank you for clearing that up.
Now, as we come back, I'll show you this map. This is available on the Lane County website. What it shows you are all the different zones within Lane County. They're a little small on your screen, but these yellows, both dark and bright yellows, are those rural residential zones. So if you live in one of those zones, either the 5 acres and under or 10 acre and under rural residential zones, you are allowed to build an ADU on your property. Now, for more information about what you can and can't use your ADU for, visit the story on our website, where you'll find a link to this map and a list of those resources. Turning now to fire coverage. The Bedrock Fire is sitting at about 31,500 acres and is 71% contained. Meanwhile, the Lookout Fire is more than 22,000 acres with just 17% containment. And now there are 2 more sparked by last week's lightning. The Horse Creek Fire is south of the Lookout Fire on the other side of Highway 126. It's about 600 acres in size. And the Pothole Fire is southwest of that at about 100 acres. So far, crews haven't reported any containment on either of those 2 fires. However, cooler temperatures and higher humidity is slowing down the growth of all of those blazes. Now in Douglas County, the Tyee Ridge complex burning northwest of Roseburg is actually several different fires started by lightning last week. And as of the last update, those fires had burned nearly 3,000 acres, causing multiple evacuation orders. Now, all of those evacuation orders remain unchanged, but with those favorable weather conditions, the focus has been on creating and holding fire lines. That now stands at 5% containment. Now, the Roseburg Fire Department announced that they are hiring their new fire marshal, Cheryl Flick. This is RFD's first female fire marshal as they focus on improving the future of the community. Before taking on a role at the fire department, Fire Marshal Flick worked as a building inspector for Douglas County and also worked as a full-time plans examiner for the county as well.
The position is great. The fire department here is such a good community and a good team, so I'm very excited to be here.
In her new position, Fire Marshal Flick will serve as a fire inspector, arson investigator, fire safety educator, instructor, and more. Currently, local fire services are converging to fight the Tyee Ridge complex. Flick says she will oversee the Fire Prevention Division and supervise the Deputy Fire Marshal as they work together to improve fire and life safety within the Roseburg community. The National Weather Service says Hurricane Idalia has the makings of an unprecedented event for the Big Bend area of Florida. The storm is fast approaching and gaining strength, set to make landfall sometime tomorrow as a dangerous Category 3 hurricane. Gloria Panzmino is in Clearwater Beach as the Sunshine State braces for impact.
Florida in the direct path of a rapidly intensifying storm.
This is going to be a major hurricane.
This morning, Food for Lane County received a truckload of non-perishable food items from the Church of Latter-day Saints in Utah. The LDS Church now has been donating food to Food for Lane County since the beginning of the pandemic. According to the new executive director, Carolyn Stein, requests for help have been on the rise recently.
We have rising food insecurity in our community right now due to a variety of factors, including high inflation. And so having a donation of this size will really go a long way to supporting the individuals and families that need it most here.
Food for Lane County also cites the recent loss of extra dollars in food stamps received by recipients during the pandemic as a contributing factor. Now, Stein says this delivery will allow them to distribute about 80,000 pounds of food to area partner agencies to help meet the needs of the community. Coming up on NBC 16 News at 6:30, a new plan to revitalize downtown North Bend and how the community can make an impact.